So, I'm in the market to buy a new mountain bike. Maybe the end of the season, maybe a little bit sooner, depends on how antsy I get, but I figure the best thing to do is to ride as many bikes as I can until I pull the trigger. Fortunately, in Fruta, we have the Fruta Fat Tire Festival with tons of bike vendors. $15 gets you a wristband. You leave them with your credit card and ID. Take the bike out for half day, a day, a few hours, whatever you want. Sure beats the $100 bike shop demos. And from all of this demoing experience, I kind of wanted to share a few things that I learned. First, show up early. All the bikes that you really want to ride, everyone else really wants to ride too. Second, know your saddle height and possibly bring a tape measure. It really helps so the bike dudes, the demo dudes don't have to guess. Also, if you ride special pedals, bring your pedals. Most of them will have flats, but I still brought my flats just in case. I ended up using them on one demo bike because they ran out. Also, know your weight with all your gear that you're going to ride with. But they usually tend to set it pretty stiff, so I give them 5 to 10 pounds less. But I also bring a shock pump with me just to adjust the suspension. I play around with it because a few PSI can make a big difference in the way that the bike feels. Talking about PSI, obviously a tire pump and pressure gauge, because wrong pressures in your tires can also ruin a ride. Also, bring a multi-tool and the ability to fix a flat. It sucks having a bike that doesn't have your wheel size that you normally ride. Get a flat or have a mechanical and not be prepared to fix it and ride it out. So now I have a 29er tube, 27.5 tube, and my regular 27.5 plus tubes. I think I'm covered. One of the most important things that this helped me realize is that a few hours on a demo bike is really only a first impression. You can't give a full review without a few weeks on the bike, or at least a lot of rides. And when riding the demo bike, don't be afraid to play with the suspension setup. If something's too firm or too soft, the whole bike can just feel wrong and dead or too stiff, so bring the shock pump. Along with understanding that PSI and the suspension and tires can really make a big difference. Also, the tire selection themselves can make or break a ride. In a perfect world, you'd have your favorite set of tires for every demo bike, but that's not always the case. Fortunately, most companies realize this, so they put some good Maxxis Minions on there, or the classic Schwalbe Magic Mary Hans Dampf combo to give a great first impression. But sometimes you kind of just have to take the bike as it is without good tires. I also had to really realize that these bikes are demo bikes and they're getting ridden really hard and just abused. They try to keep them maintained pretty well, but I got the feel from some of the demo guys that a lot of people will show up to these demos, take the bike out, treat it like crap with no respect for their company or for the bike. So they can only do so much. Sometimes all the components aren't going to be working correctly. And again, you have to take that for what it is. And when it comes to components, I thought I was pretty biased towards certain component specs. Like, I thought I really love Shimano XT components. I'm not really a SRAM person. Or I was kind of anti-RockShox reverb droppers from previous bad experience. But when you're riding, you really only notice the components if they're not working. So if you get decent quality of any brand, you'll be just fine, unless you're super picky. And I thought I was super picky, but it turns out after 10 demo bikes so far, going back and forth between Shimano and SRAM and different droppers, I'm not so much. Just as long as it's been tuned, maintained, and works well, I'm completely happy. And you can always make upgrades later. And the last important thing I think I really wanted to mention is that you could go into these thinking that you're really going to love a certain bike from reading and watching tons of reviews online, but until you ride the bikes, you don't really know. So try to keep an open mind. I went into this thinking I wanted a 150mm travel 27.5 bike, and those bikes rode fantastic, but I returned one of my demos midday and there was a shortage of bikes. And I kind of had to settle for a short travel 29er, but it turns out that with the new geometries on those, dang, it was so fun. So I've been trying out 29ers, 27.5, long travel, short travel, and all of these bikes are just so fun, regardless of wheel size, travel. I try them all out. You might be surprised. Don't get hung up on having a certain wheel size or certain travel. Just ride a ton of bikes, get a feel for what you love. And nowadays, it's hard to go wrong with any modern trail mountain bike out there. So I'm eating my words. I'm considering a short travel 29er, and I'm also considering, mid longest travel 27.5 or even mid longest travel 29er. We'll see. I'm trying out bikes, having tons of fun. We'll see which ones I've fallen in love with. I've kind of already fallen in love with some and realized that I hate a few that I thought I was going to love. So keep an eye out for future videos. So far I have like 10 demo bikes that I need to post videos for first impressions, so they'll be coming down the pipeline. And as I get through the season, you'll see more demos and eventually the bike that I'll probably pick. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.